Next thing we're going to do is install the power plug. So there's quite a bit going on here, right? So it's got an input, it's got a switch, it's got a fuse, it's got a couple things going on back here. So first thing we're going to look at is if we install it like this here, right? So power's up and power off is down, right? Power on is up, power's up. If you want it the opposite way, or if you're putting it on the opposite side or the back, or you're installing it like this can be flipped. And you do that by taking a flathead screwdriver, and I'll show you the tabs once I pull this out. There it is. Oh, maybe I'll pry it from here. There we go. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's got these tabs right here that make it stick into the plug. Okay, so from here I can flip it any way I wanted, right? But I liked it the way it was, so I'm going to put it back the way it was. Okay, snaps back in. Next thing it has is a fuse. So right in here, you can lift up with your same flathead screwdriver this little piece. So this is a 10 amp fuse right here. You can also put a spare fuse inside this little hole right here. And the active fuse goes in this little clip. If you look, there are little holders inside here for the fuse. Okay, there's these little clips in here that actually hold the fuse. And pay attention to where these are, because we're going to turn it around and look at those. So I'm going to install this fuse back in here. Okay, so we got 3 pins here. We got ground, which is the top one. It has a little symbol of a grounding right there. Then we got neutral, or an N, and then live right here. So the live goes in right back into here. It goes through the fuse and comes out right here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the live and attach it to the closest switch pin, and the neutral, and go over that to this pin here. I'll show you an example. We have one pre-wired where it does exactly that. So the live, which is black in the US, goes out of here. So it goes into the plug, into the fuse, out here, into the switch. And the neutral does the same thing over the live. And then it comes out here. All right, neutral comes out this side. Live comes out this side. Okay, and then when you switch it, it lets the power go through. When you switch it the other way, it stops the power from getting through. Okay, so now we're going to install this here. So to figure out the length of your wires, what you're going to do here, you're going to open up your door, right, to a serviceable amount. Like, it doesn't need to be way out here, but if you're servicing the thing, you'd have it about this far, about 90 degrees here. And then you take your plug, how you'd install it, right? So I'd want it to plug in back and me be able to switch it on and off. If I had it the opposite way, I would have to reach around the plug and flip it on. So I like to have it with a plug like this. Okay? So from here, you would take your wires, right? And you have to imagine this, and we can always make them shorter. It's a lot tougher to make these longer, so always add extra here. Okay? So I would solder this. I'll have a schematic on this, but basically you're going to need 2 grounds, 2 lives coming out, and 2 neutrals coming out. Okay? And that is because we have an e-stop to go to, and a 12 volt power supply to go to, and a 36 volt power supply, and a CO2 power supply. And so some of them can daisy chain, some of them go through one before the other, but every single one of them need 2. Okay? So ground, everything gets ground. Okay? Your CO2 power supply and these power supplies. So what you would do here is I'm going to take my ground and I'm going to pretend it's attached to the ground pin here, right? And I'm going to pretend like it's tied to the frame, right? Going up, and then attached to the frame here. And going into the grounding pin right there, right? So I'd give it a little extra and chop it. And then I'd do the same thing. I would just daisy chain this one, not over the top of this, right? Because the lid has to close. If you do it over the top, you're going to switch the wire. So it has to come all the way underneath here and come up to this one. Okay, so I do that, and then I'd have a short one for the CO2 power supply. I would do something similar for the black and the white lines. The black is live, the white is neutral, green is ground. And I'll put a schematic, and then you're going to have to run it along up here or run it around and imagine where it's going to be. The power supply for the CO2 is going to sit about right here in this corner. So those ones can actually be pretty short. But everything else is going to have to run somewhere. So to install this thing, I have 3mm. This is M3 by 14. And I'm just going to go right into this thing. Okay? Typically they're countersunk screws, but you can also just use plain old like flat screws here. So I've got the M3 by 14 holding this thing in, right? Guess I'll install the one with wires. Make it a little more realistic. Okay. So I'll feed this through. Feed all this through. There we go. And I want my switch this way. Cool. Okay, so I got my switch installed the right way, so I can reach it real easy here. Okay. M3 by 14. Go straight through. The top hole is the easiest to reach. Then we put a washer here. And then a nut. I'm going to hold that on. And get that almost tight. Alright, so it's still got a little bit of wobble. M3 by 14. Do the bottom hole there. Washer. Okay. And then nut. Alright, and now I'm going to take my socket and tighten them up a little bit. And there we have it. So, thanks for watching.